Hello, welcome to my presentation on the written report for Capstone. My name is Jimmy, and I suppose we'll start off. For the introduction there, I started my apprenticeship in July of 2021. I worked through the summer, so I started before the academic side of things began in September. I've got on well. Of course, we're coming towards the end now, so long as I pass everything. But I've got on good. I've been involved in several residential sales with the company. I suppose I got great experience because the auctioneers did give me responsibilities. They gave me control over the sales. Of course, all the sales would have been in their name, and I was always reporting back to them. I was involved in residential lettings as well, so that was very interesting. Trying to pick out the right tenant for a property. It's always very important. If you get the tenant right the first day, you'll make the job much easier for the management side of it as well. I was also involved in the block management. We do block management as well, managing developments, things like that. So that was interesting. Learned a lot there. Did a lot of valuations as well with my mentor, all over the county, travelled all over the county. So it was cool to go to all these different places to do valuations. So we mainly cover Tralee, of course, but then we do West Kerry, North Kerry. We wouldn't do a whole pile in South Kerry, and we do Mid Kerry area. We wouldn't get much business in East Kerry because Killarney, you've plenty of auctioneers in Killarney there. That's the other big town in Kerry, so they get a lot of business there on the east side of things. So I suppose we'll go on to the property in question. So the property I was selling and the property I did the rating report on was a property called the 10 Railway Bridge in Castlemaine. So that's in the Mid Kerry area. Mid Kerry is actually very in demand area because Castlemaine, Milltown as well, is located very near to Castlemaine. They're in between Tralee and Killarney. So they're about 20 minutes from each of those towns. Castlemaine and Milltown also. They're close to the Inch Road, which can bring you to Dingle as well. So you're about 40 minutes from Dingle, and then you're 20 minutes from both Tralee and Killarney. The house is a big house, 5 bedrooms. Well, I suppose 4 to 5. You could say 4 bedrooms, and one of the bedrooms could be used as an office or a study. You've 2 bathrooms, and you've a WC, a toilet downstairs as well. One of the bedrooms is a master, it's en suite, which would include the bathrooms. So it had PVC double glazed windows, all that. Of course, the house needed a paint, it was never painted. There was a few issues with it really. There was lots of bird nests because it was vacant for quite some time. It was a receiver sale. We were selling it from a receiver company. There was also some black mold in the ceiling upstairs. So I suppose it wasn't really being ventilated properly. The house, maybe the previous occupiers weren't taking proper care of the ventilation side of things. So it's about 267 square meters in size, oil-fired central heating. So for securing the property and sale, we were approached by the receiver actually to do a valuation because they were repossessing the house. So we did the valuation and we sent it to them, and along with the valuation we gave them a sales proposal. We with our professional fee we wrote to them showing them what to expect from us, and then they decided to go ahead and give us the sale. So we organised the borough assessor to go out there and carry out the inspection. I visited the property myself, took some measurements, and I actually organised a professional photographer to do pictures and drone pictures as well of the property. So for the valuation approach, I went for the comparable valuation matrix. I got 3 comparables, which was pretty straightforward getting comparables for that property. Now, for detached houses, not necessarily. It was easy to find semi-detached houses and terrace houses in developments in Milltown and Castlemaine to use as comparables. Detached houses were more difficult to come by that were similar to this. So I came up with 270, I came up with a price of 260 in the end for the valuation. I was quite close to that because we did sale agree it for 270,000 euros. So that's how I went by the value. And of course, when I was out there doing the valuation with the mentor, we just went to the house, took notes of everything, the size of it, the type of heating, the condition it was in, location as well. So for the client briefing, legal and regulatory. So we basically provide them with our PSRA license, and that was very important just to show that we're practicing correctly. We also provide them with a PSRA sole agency sales agreement for them to sign, so we could begin selling the property. We also, of course, advise them seek legal advice. Now, we were dealing with a business, so when you're dealing with a company like this, they know the story, they're up to date with everything, so it's not too important, but it is, I suppose it is important to make sure that you cover your tracks the whole time. Well, not necessarily cover your tracks, but just make sure you're doing everything correctly. Of course, a BUR cert was needed to put the property up for sale, to list it, so we organised the BUR inspector, and we also issued him with a signed statement of advised market value. So with regards to building regulations and fire safety, when I was looking at it, I suppose it's important to take notes of this. I was looking at the house, it seemed up to standard really for the current building regulations. There wasn't any obvious problems with it. There wasn't any big cracks or anything that would I suppose bring up safety risks and safety hazards and all that. There was ventilation around the soffit, so that gave me an indication that the roof should be okay, the timber inside the roof should be okay, so it should be solid. The house looked like it'd be able to stay up for us a long enough period of time if there was a fire to allow escape. The walls were concrete, so the fire isn't going to get out through the concrete walls really, and there was no risk of any fire coming in through, maybe obviously from the roof, but it was all PVC soffit, so yeah, really it would be hard for a fire from the outside as well to get in, only maybe by the door. The door was of course wooden. So and the house was a C1 BUR, so the annual CO2 emissions were 41.8 kg CO2 meters square a year. So that was pretty much it in regards to the building regulations and fire safety. So the conclusion to the property sale, I suppose this was a difficult sell in the end. It took a bit of work to get people to come out because it wasn't the most nicely presented house, especially the fact that it was a receiver selling it. They weren't going to give it that TLC or bring it up to make it look really nice. So we did have to work hard, but we managed to get people to come out and look at it, and we managed to get more than the asking. We got a sale agreed for 270,000. There was issues with the house with the mold. Really, that was a big problem. It didn't look good. If we could have painted over that would have instantly made the house look nicer. It was usually a worry for some people, but all it is really is ventilation, I suppose, is that's needed. There was other things, the oil tank wasn't connected and things like that. So there was works that need to be done. Furniture, the house needed to be painted inside and out. There was and the front garden, there was really no front driveway. It was just gravel, and the back as well was gravel and overgrown grass as well. So it wasn't nicely presented. Work would need to be done, but we managed to get it sale agreed. We got it through. Very happy. There was, I suppose, because it's a receiver, we got the proof of funds from the purchasers, and once we passed on that proof of funds to the receiver, they took I think it was about 6 weeks to come back with us with a final decision, and this was only just to sale agreed the property. So during that 6 weeks, the purchaser was very keen to get the ball rolling because they were also selling their own property to move into this one. So that was a bit of a stressful period for the purchaser. We were doing our best. I was a bit stressed myself. I was afraid we might lose the purchaser because the receiver was taking so long to get back to me. I was staying in touch with the case handler for that sale from the receiver the whole time, and I suppose he was getting onto his superiors as well, trying to get a decision made and get the property sale agreed on it. But eventually, after 6 weeks, we finally got a sale agreed. So I found that a bit bizarre how it took so long to happen. But obviously, maybe this wasn't a high priority to the company in question. So I requested a deposit of 10,000, and that secured the property for the purchasers. And yeah, I was very much relieved to get it done, to get it sale agreed, because last thing you want is the purchaser pulling out and then you have to start from scratch again. So that was the story with that. It was a great experience. I suppose thank you for watching the presentation, but selling that property was a good experience. It was different to other properties because I suppose there was a receiver involved. The way at the end that it took so long, 6 weeks to get a decision just to sale agree, it was a new challenge to me. Usually, purchasers, especially when there's a proof of funds and everything's all okay, they'll agree to sell it straight away. But yeah, it was a strange one. But that was, I suppose, the number one challenge. And also, I suppose I was usually selling nicer houses that were nice. They were better presented. That house was poorly presented, really. But I did my best, and we did manage to find purchase for it. And I suppose in this market, you always will. You always will in this market. So yeah, it was a good experience. So thanks very much for listening to the presentation.